Hey there, cash flow crew. So today we're going to go ahead and talk about the truth about money. These are the lessons that I've learned over the last 33 years involving money, going from debt to the current net worth I'm sitting at, and then going forward, working towards seven figures. I know that this is going to be a little bit hard to take at first, but some people just have to learn these lessons, and I don't want you to learn the hard way like I did. Many poor investments, many poor choices, many poor purchases. To be honest, I mean, there are certain things that I definitely shouldn't have purchased in my life because I just didn't have the money. Because you should have an overage before you decide that you actually want to purchase something, so that you're not going into tremendous amounts of debt to make it happen. Now, the number one lesson that I learned about money, and this is like absolute prime thing, you must change the words that you're saying to yourself. One of the major things is we cannot make money. Get that out of your head. No one can make money except for the Federal Reserve. They are the only ones that can make it because they physically print it. And I guess God as well, because I mean you've got gold and silver and all those things that are natural monies, naturally occurring monies. So I mean those are things that can be made. Those are made monies. What we can do is we can take money. That's the only thing that we can do. We can take money in exchange for our time, take money in exchange for products or services, take money from family members who give you money to help you out. So take the negative connotation of take money away, and then you will understand how sales work. You will understand how money in general works. And the only time that money is truly, truly, truly weak is when it's in flow between two people. That's where you can actually get in the middle and take extra money. So that is pretty much how money works, and that's one of the major lessons that I learned over the years, that you cannot make money, you can only take money. Now, moving on to that, I've come up with a overall thesis on how each and every single individual can move through the individual stages of money knowledge in order to get up to seven figures, in order to get up to 8 figures, 9 figures, 10 figures. Obviously, I haven't achieved the 7-figure mark, so I'm still fighting some of those barriers myself. But it's just the thesis, watching guys like Alex Hormozy, watching guys like the Grant Cardones out there, watching guys like any of these other financial guys that are out there, big businessmen. Bedros, I think, is one of the good ones to watch, as well as PBD, Patrick Bet-David. He's got a podcast that's on YouTube that I watch quite often, based on just the advice of the business panel that he brings on every single time. I think today's Home Team. So Home Team would be a good thing to watch. Apologize with the road. It's just weird weather caused a little bit of aggravation. So it is what it is. But hey, you got to show up. You got to do it. You got to make the recording. That's the only way that this YouTube is ever going to go anywhere. Enough of the rant. So let's go ahead. We'll jump over to basically an image of what my thesis is on how money actually works. So over on this screen, you'll go ahead and you'll see that basically there are different stages of understanding money. Like there's the main stage where everybody starts because no one knows exactly what's going to go on. And that's floating between incompetence and competence. A lot of people who are in massive amounts of debt, who don't quite understand how money works, don't understand business models, don't understand a lot of things, they stay right here, unfortunately, in that incompetent stage. That incompetent stage is just, you don't know anything about money. You spend it when it comes in. You don't save anything. You don't invest anything. You just go out. You have unlimited fun on your funds, and there's more months than there is money. So that's the problem with a lot of people, is they never move beyond this incompetent stage, which is 80% of people, because most people have a lot of debt they're carrying. And I know, because I was there, like not even 4 years ago, I was there. But now I have no debt, so I've moved from the incompetence level up to the competent level, and I would even say excellent level, because I'm working on getting up to that upper limit, that 7-figure limit. Now, competence, it's basically the general understanding of how things work, understanding business systems, understanding your job pretty well, being able to show up on time, in the right place, in the right uniform, as we used to say in the Army. It's just one of those things that if you do the right things, you're pretty much going to make 5 figures. It's really, really easy just to be competent in your position. Now, most people, like I said, will stay in the safe zone. It's the seed that never sprouts. The seed literally stays in between the incompetence and the competence zone. You might make a lot of money, but if you're in huge amounts of debt, you didn't move. That seed isn't growing. That seed's going to stay exactly where it is. Now, moving up into the excellence stage, between competence and excellence, now that's going to be like 5% of the population that actually moves up to excellence, because 6 figures is easy to make, but if you look globally, I think there's like 20% of the world that actually makes 6 figures. Don't quote me on it, and if I am wrong, I'll go ahead and I'll create a correction video, because this channel is going to be all about integrity. I'm going to be 100% honest, and I'm just going to go with the flow. If I'm wrong, then I admit I'm wrong. Just got to own it. Extreme ownership. Love you, Jocko. So, moving into excellence, that 5% mark, that's like 5% of the population. Now, in order to move from excellence, you have a lot of barriers that stand in your way to actually move up to 7 figures. I know, because I've tried business models, I've tried to get extra skills in order to get additional jobs in order to break through. Now, contracting was the first position that I actually was able to get where I was making a true 6 figures with no tax that moved me from competence up to excellence. So that's one of the major things. The first barrier that you're going to run into is obviously the fear, doubt, negative self-belief. Now, that general barrier also comes with an internal barrier on the excellency scale, which is flaws. You believe that you have a flaw with yourself, that you are fundamentally flawed, that you are unable to grow, so you stay right there in the excellence stage, which basically is described as the excellence trap. You will be trapped in the spot where the seeds started to grow a little, but it just really didn't get enough nutrients, so it wasn't able to actually gain any of the strength that it needed in order to become that full tree, in order to produce those fruits, in order to break through that upper limit, in order to provide other people additional resources so that they could also sprout and grow and create the forest. Hence why this thing is called the forest. Now, the next thing you run into is punishment. Now, the punishment for this level is debt. Debt is the biggest punishment of that. It will force you right back down into incompetence. You will not be able to move beyond this until you understand that carrying negative debt is terrible. You should not carry negative debt. You should always have at least some surplus of money in order to invest, reinvest, or purchase, take advantage of opportunities as they come. Like right now, the stock market being exactly where it is, and the crypto market being exactly where it is. And I've got a couple of other interesting investment types that will be coming out soon that you'll be able to actually go ahead and invest in as well. But debt is that's that punishment level. It will just keep you down until you work out your own issues. So this is like the inner game, as you'll see a lot of YouTubers talking about right now, because we're in the inner game season, is working within yourself in order to reach who you want to be. And then that will move you beyond that flaw stage, which brings you up another percent. Now, the next stage is abandon. Like everybody who has ever had somebody leave them without notice, without question, you probably have a little bit of this abandonment scar. Hey, you might not. I mean, who knows? You might be able to skip over this one because you might not have all 4 barriers, but some people do. So abandon, say a friend left you due to circumstances and left an emotional scar on you. I know I had that myself. I had a friend who committed suicide, and well, it hurt. So I felt abandoned. It was one of those major things that you just don't get over quickly. And so I know that barrier had to get worked through. I had to go see a hypnotist, and we ended up working through that. So being a little open here on the podcast, like I said, integrity is number one. That's mostly based on societal norms. Like societal norms, they don't expect much from certain individuals, but they also will force their societal norms on you. So this abandonment gets buried and buried deep. And I know this is especially true in the military, where you're just basically expected to suck it up. You can't really just come out openly and say it. It's one of those things that you have to bury. You have to understand, and it's doubly important as a man, because you can't let anyone see your weakness. And so, I mean, I'm naturally violating that rule right now by sharing this, but it's just one of those things that you have to admit before you can actually move on. So I have broken through the abandon issue, and it's definitely one of those things that I definitely needed a little bit of help working on. Now, the next one is burden. So starting a business can have a lot of burden to it. Taking time away from your free time in order to work on something, in order to grow into that 7 figures and break that upper limit, is going to require a ton of effort, a ton less time of doing Netflix and chill, going to see family members all the time, buying all the things you want to buy. Just feels burdenous. I mean, really, that's what that barrier is all about. So it's one of those barriers that you have to work on as you get there. And that's all based in societal norms. I'm sure you've heard the crab in the bucket theory, where it's literally all the crabs in a bucket will find the one crab who's trying to crawl out and pull that crab back into the bucket, so that you will always stay there, which is exactly why the competence and excellence zone is shaped like a pyramid, because it gets smaller and smaller on the way up. That crab has to basically go upside down and up the vertical wall in order to actually get out of that area. But it's the seed in this case. So the seed has to grow, it has to spread its roots, and it has to be able to push out of the ground. Another thing for the wedge, or the pyramid there. Now, that takes care of like all the societal norms, but that will lead you into prevention. Like, your mind will be the number one thing that fights you here. It's trying to prevent you from doing anything that anyone else is not doing, because it's safer to be part of the crowd than it is to stand out. And that's just one of the things that your mind will play tricks on you and try to keep you there based on societal norms, based on the excess spending, which is why it says excess there, and all the excess events and time waste, because your only true asset in the world, because again, we can only take money, we can't make money, is time. Time is the one thing that we all have the same amount of hours, basically the same lifespan, except for with like extreme events, but those are going to always be outliers. And that's the one thing that we all have in common. We all have time. Now, this brings us to the last stage, the last barrier of the excellence trap. And the excellence trap, the current stage that I am stuck in right now, is outshining. And that's actually why I started the YouTube channel, because it helps me help you, show you the path, but also it helps me get out there. It helps me break out of that. If I outshine other people, then I won't be respected, then I won't be liked, then my family will leave me. It's one of those barriers that's been in the way for quite a while. And as the oldest sibling, you always kind of feel weird about pushing too far ahead of your other siblings, because then they look bad, they feel bad, they'll have certain emotions about it, and then it's just not good. But you have to get over it. The only way that you can break through that excellence trap and get up to the next level is to break the outshining barrier. And that's all based on, like it said there, internalized misconceptions. Now, your internalized misconceptions will try to protect you. They'll try to protect you from something that you think you fear. And you don't want to be alone. Like that's the number one thing. People need social norms. They need society. So that generally will hit the top of the upper limit, will lead to a crash, will lead to excess, which leads to debt, which puts you right back on into incompetence. Now, the excellence, competence, safe zone, and moving out of incompetence, that can all be done alone. Now, as you get into the excellence trap, the upper part of that cone, or the upper part of that triangle, that wedge, you're going to need a little bit of help. Whether it be a hypnotist, whether it be a therapist, there's a bunch of different ways to go ahead and work through that. Could even be a personal friend that you talk to regularly. Like, you're going to have to talk through those situations, talk through those issues, and work something out. And it's always best to see a professional on it, because I know that a lot of these barriers got put in place when I left the Army. And, well, a lot of them existed from when I was a little kid based on reinforcement I got from all the people around me. So it's one of those things that you just have to break through, because obviously society isn't going to teach you anything. Your teachers aren't going to teach you this. Actually, most people probably don't even know, because they're still stuck down in the incompetency stage. Now, obviously, from here, this is all theory, and this is all based on how I've seen other very successful businessmen work, and you'll see a lot of their YouTubes all over the place, and they have broken through these barriers, which allow them to make 7 figures. The 7 figures, it's above the upper limit. So then once you're above the upper limit, that first leaf peeks out of the ground and you're able to actually catch some of those sunlight rays and catch some of those extra nutrients above all the other seeds that are in the ground, then you can really start to grow. You get that 7 figures, you can go ahead and invest in a ton of things. You can go ahead and create passive income, which is another buzzword that I absolutely hate. So if I ever say passive income, I want you to call me out on it in the comments. It's one of those things I hate, is passive income, because there are so many scams around passive income. There are only a few true passive income sources, and these are things that you don't have to monitor. These are things that you don't have to worry about. These are things that literally are plug and play, and there's not a lot of them. Like VA disability is one of those. VA veterans, you earn your disability as long as you have been truthful on your VA exams. You have passive income, because that income you don't have to monitor anymore. It just comes in month to month. You just got to make sure that it's the right amount. So it's not even truly passive income. So I just completely negated myself there, but I think that's the closest thing that you'll actually get to passive income. Now, up to 9 figures. Obviously, as the tree grows, it's going to get bigger. You're going to have more investments, more assets, more businesses, more business relationships, more that can lead to the 8 to 9 figures. And as you can see, we have now reached like 0.09% of the population. I mean, these are your top earners. These are the people who are like way above average. Because average, most people, again, stay way down there in the incompetent zone. And then taking 10 figures, you created the whole forest. That is the major thing, is once you reach 10 figures, you have created jobs, you have created businesses, you have created training, you have done all the things that are required in order to make the forest. So other trees will grow around you, trees being people in this instance, and even some of your seeds will create additional trees in the forest, because we all have to pull each other up. Now that we've covered all the different levels, one of the major things that we need to talk about is weeds. Oh boy, do I know a ton about people who I consider weeds. These weeds are very, very simple to point out. They suck time, they suck money, they suck energy, and they will do nothing to help you. They are only there to look out for themselves. These people, they take. They put scams out there. There are a ton of scammers out there. You'll see all the traders. There's tons of trading communities that are all scams. They make money off of selling courses, not on actually trading the stock markets. So you need to be careful of weeds. Weeds are prevalent on the internet. So I've looked into a lot of them. A great guy to look into is CoffeeZilla. He actually does a lot of breakdown of people I would consider weeds in the forest. These people, they have no benefit to society. I hope they don't ever come to my channel because I don't want to talk to people like that. Now, you'll see a couple other things. One of the major things is even after breaking through the upper limit, you'll notice that a lot of millionaires say they made a lot of money and then they went broke. Now, my theory on why they ended up going broke is they had an integrity breach. They ended up lying to their customers, lying to their friends, lying to their families, basically having no integrity. And it's just one of those things that if you lose that integrity, you lose that trust with all of your relationships, you're going to fall right back down in incompetence because it's going to bring you to those internalized misconceptions, which leads to a crash because of protection. Societal norms will continue to push you down because then you'll go into excess. You'll spend things that you don't have, which leads you to debt. And then once you're in debt again, you're back to incompetence. Get to start from square one, brand new seed. It's one of the things that I've noticed just watching a lot of these other podcasters, these other millionaires, these billionaires that are out there who just lose tons of money or blow through their entire thing. You can see it right now in California with that $2 billion lotto winner who just bought a $45 million mansion, probably has no idea of how to actually invest that money, and it's just going to blow through it in 2 years and be back on the street exactly where they started because they just spent it all. That's one of the things. You're breaking your integrities. You're going beyond levels that you've ever known. Fast money makes fast problems, and that's one of the things. Even though you do want to make as much as you can so you can buy as much of your time back, fast money makes fast problems. Now, and then the main thing about 8 and 9 figures, this is what I've noticed, like breaking through that 7-figure, 8, 9-figure, and 10-figure, and this is the last piece we'll go over, is you require people or more resources, one of the two, because you have to have other people on the same mission in order to provide that amount of time that is required for this tree that you're growing, this forest that you're growing, to get bigger. Because the more trees that you're growing around you and the more that the forest expands, the greater chances that you're going to make 8, 9 figures, maybe even 10 figures, because you're providing all that additional value to people to allow them to grow with you. And that's why I'm starting this channel, because I want to show you the path of exactly how I'm thinking, exactly what I'm doing in order to actually get there. And I do plan on taking all this and writing out a book with a bunch of personal stories on it. And I think it'll turn out pretty well. And I hope that everyone here would appreciate something like that. But that's exactly pretty much what I have learned just by doing a lot of reading. I've read a ton of books. Speaking of which, if you ever do a lot of traveling, Audible is a great way to go ahead and travel while learning something new. And then you don't have to play on your phone, because I do not promote driving and playing on your phone. It's just a terrible plan. So don't do that. But you can have audiobooks downloaded to your phone as you're traveling, anywhere that you're traveling, and just listen to these audiobooks to learn some of these money lessons that I've learned. And I'll go ahead and I'll put in a reading list into the description so that you guys can see some of the money books that I was looking at that actually helped me come to these conclusions. So now we'll just go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll talk about the main thing, which is you cannot make money. You can only take money. That's the major point of this whole video, is you can only take money. So you got to understand that people are out there. They're always trying to take your money. So you just have to think about what they're trying to get from you, because generally a lot of people are trying to get a lot from you to have more money now, rather than help you grow and help you get up to the levels that you want to get to. So that's this next episode of Cody's Cash Flow. So Cash Flow crew, go ahead and hit the like, hit the subscribe, and then share this video around so that we can spread the word about what money really is and how to actually understand it. All right, bye.